I feel like the background is very busy, but it's a bunch of books, so we love. We have made it to the fall reading wrap-up. Since it is now December, it is time for my fall reading wrap-up. I do these a little differently than other people. I do them seasonally, so fall to me is September, October, November. Then in a few days I will film my winter TBR, which will be December, January, February, and then spring will be March, April, May, and then summer is June, July, August. That's kind of how my brain works. I work with the seasons, so this will be my fall reading wrap-up. Everything that I read in the fall months, the Burr months minus December. So let's go through every single book I read and what I kind of thought about them. Do I grab them off the shelves? I feel like almost my entire shelf here was read in the Burr months, so let me grab all of those quick. Destroying the shelves. Absolutely destroying. I think that should be all of them that I have physically. Now let me put them in piles. Okay, we've got them all separated into piles. It looks like my lighting is kind of going in and out, so stick with me. Also, do you like my little blanket hoodie? I got it from TJ Maxx, and I got my boyfriend a matching one because we have a big white dog named Ranger and he looks like a polar bear, so now we are repping Ranger all winter long. First, we're obviously going to start with September. We're going to do everything in order. I have a few books that I don't own physically, so I will be referencing my Goodreads app. I also have a Fable if you want to follow me on there, or Goodreads. I always have them linked in the description. So let's start. The very first book I read in September was The Hunger Games. I read The Hunger Games for the very first time. I had never read The Hunger Games in my youth as a child, as a teen. I never read The Hunger Games, so it was my time to read The Hunger Games for the very first time. Unfortunately, I had seen the movies many times, so everything was spoiled for me, but the books do provide a lot more context. These books are so phenomenal. The only critique I have is I wish that we could have someone's point of view alongside Katniss because she's a very unreliable narrator. Hopefully in the future, this is just my own personal opinion. If you disagree, I also respect that, but I kind of want the perspective of someone else at the same time as Katniss's games because I just want to see if it's different, if that makes sense. Like, I kind of want to see a career's point of view and what their upbringing is like, but I also just kind of want to see something that's from someone else's point of view. I know that we have like Haymitch's book, we have Songbirds and Snakes, but I just want more current day from someone else's point of view. Like, some people have said like Plutarch's book or just something. I'm just very curious like what's all happening that she doesn't see, because even how she describes herself versus like how everyone else sees her is so different. So this book is a 5 out of 5, of course. 5-star book, 5-star series. I read the entire trilogy, so those will be coming up in a second. This book is phenomenal. I've heard Jack Edwards call it a modern classic, and I agree. I cannot imagine reading this book for the first time before seeing any of the movies as a teenager. That would have been so amazing. If I had a time machine, I would go back, pause the movie, read all of the books, and experience all of these twists for the first time, because I cannot imagine how crazy that is. Like, these books are insane. The amount of lore they have, the amount of symbolism they have, crazy. Crazy. So 5 stars, 5 stars. The next book I read in between, I was just finishing it because I had started it a few months prior. I had started it in July, it looks like. This is Flawless by Elsie Silver. It is the first book in the Chestnut Springs series. This book for me was okay. I liked it. I didn't love it. It was a 3-star. I will continue to read the Chestnut Springs series, 1 because I own all the books already, and 2 because I liked it. It just wasn't my favorite. Like, their chemistry wasn't my favorite. The spice wasn't my favorite. I liked both of the characters, so I didn't really know what I didn't vibe with, but it was just a 3-star. It's a cowboy romance. If you are living under a rock and have never heard of the series, it's a very popular series, and this one is about Rhett and Summer. Rhett is a bull rider and Summer is a lawyer, I believe, and she is tasked with basically saving his reputation because he's been in so many controversies that she has to make him look good, and then they fall in love because it's a romance book. So 3 stars. I don't know. I've heard the other books are really, really good. I've heard that the second book and the 4th book are really good, so I am excited to read those as well. The next 2 books were The Beautiful. That one I DNF'd. I think I got like 100 pages in and I just wasn't vibing with it because I was in the middle of my vampire reading vlog and I just wasn't feeling the vampires in that book. Then I read Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, and that was a 5 stars for me. The first part of my review says fan freaking tastic, oh my god. Let's read my review, honestly. It says 5 stars, fan freaking tastic, oh my god. It's so close to a 5 star. Let me take that out. Let me rewind. Because at the time it was a 4.5, but then sometimes if something's really close to a 5, but I don't know if it is a 5, I give it like a week or 2, and if I'm still thinking about it, then I give it a 5 star. So at the first part, I said it's close to a 5 star, but I just didn't get that 5 star feeling. We're taking that out because it's a 5 star for sure. So it says, I can't get this book off my mind. It's as if Catherine Pierce from the Vampire Diaries was a lesbian and even more toxic than she already is. Chef's Kiss, the perfect toxic vampire romance with multiple storylines and plot twists. V.E. Schwab, I love you. It's pretty real. It goes through 3 different timelines. One in like the 1600s, one in like the 19 somethings, the 1900s, and then one in current day, like 2019. So it was really cool. I also liked how they all kind of came together in the end. It is toxic lesbian vampires. It is Catherine Pierce at her height of toxicity if she was a lesbian. So good. Mwah, 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 mwah. V.E. Schwab, so good. Now, finishing the Hunger Games series. Catching Fire is my favorite. This is a 5 star. This is a 4.5, I believe. Yes, 4.5. I do really love Mockingjay. I feel like it is very important. Again, I have a reading vlog reading this entire trilogy if you want more information on that. Most of these are on reading vlogs, just so you know. A few aren't. A few I just read on my own, but if you're curious, a lot of them are in reading vlogs. I love this trilogy. This is my favorite book, favorite movie of the entire trilogy. I have yet to read Songbirds and Snakes and Haymitch's book, but I just got Songbirds and Snakes because I got this in a box set because I work at a bookstore now. So I'm still waiting for Haymitch's book to come in paperback, but I might just audiobook it in the meantime. But Catching Fire is my favorite because I love all the characters that we're introduced to, and I love the fact that we get games but also rebellion. I like the combo because it's just fun and interesting. This one, it's very important. I really appreciate the symbolism. I appreciate everything that they're doing, but it's just not as interesting and fun, if I'm being frankly honest. So still a 5 star series, 100%. Still love them. Chef's Kiss to Suzanne Collins. She can do no wrong. Love her. Love the series. Then our last book, I believe, second to last book. The last book was a DNF, so I don't know if I count that. But the last full book that I read was Morbidly Yours by Ivy Fairbanks. I love Ivy Fairbanks' writing. This is the first book I've read from her, and I'm really, really pleased. This is a cutesy little romance. It is about a mortician and an animator. 2 very, very different career paths. 2 very, very different personalities. Callum is the male main character. He has a speech impediment. He has a slur. No, what was it? A stutter. And I feel like a hint of autism, if I'm being frankly honest. And then Lark is the female main character, and she just lost her husband like 2 years ago. Very, very tragically, very unexpectedly. So she's going through grief. Callum's going through just his awkwardness trying to find a life partner, because if he doesn't find a life partner by the time he turns 35, he will lose his entire family business, because his grandpa set it up that way so that he would find someone and it would push him out of his box. But now he's like 34 and he's still not married, so he's kind of panicking. So this entire book, you don't really know how they're gonna end up together. It's really strange because even halfway through you're like, how is this gonna work? But I really liked it. I thought it was very cute. I thought it was very wholesome and sweet and very like complex with how each person is. 4 stars for me. This isn't a reading vlog if you want more information. 4 stars, really liked it. Really liked all of the representation. I feel like Ivy Fairbanks does a very good job with representation. Coming from a therapist myself, I thought both of these complex mental health issues was very well portrayed, and it didn't bother me at all how they were portrayed. So I really liked it. And then our very last book of September was a DNF, unfortunately. My book club decided to read Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. I just couldn't get into it. The first 5 chapters are really intense, and it talks about a lot of abuse that I just don't love reading because I just don't love hearing it. I'm very sensitive to that topic. I'm very sensitive to taking advantage of and hurting women, and I just couldn't get past it. A lot of my book club said that after that part, after you're introduced to this world, it gets really, really good. It gets a lot better. I just couldn't get past it. I think I might pick it up at another time, but I just wasn't vibing with it for the month of September. Going into October, we had book book after book after book after book. So let's start with the first book of the month. It was another book club book that I read within 2 days, 3 days technically, and that is Quicksilver by Callie Hart. Look at it in the this is the deluxe edition. It's got Ceres in the front, Mr. Kingfisher in the back. This is a 6-star book for me. I got ripped apart in my book club because no one else really loved it as much as I did. This is a 6-star. I ate this shit up. The chemistry was absolutely insane between these two. I loved the plot. I loved the characters. I loved the little fox, Onyx. Oh my god. I also just bought the sequel, Brimstone, so I'm really excited to start that. But let's see what I said, because I honestly don't even remember. There's a lot of emojis in this review, so if you go to my Goodreads, you will see how many emojis are on this. It says, oh my god, I ate the shit up, it's so good, holy crap, all in caps. Kingfisher is, and then a bunch of thirsty emojis, and Ceres is a baddie. I love this book so much. The chemistry between the two characters is absolutely insane. Kingfisher is crazy nasty in the best way and will make you blush. The side characters are also adorable and easy to fall in love with. I seriously can't wait for the next book. I need it right now. Holy cliffhanger. I will be gnawing at the bars of my enclosure for the next month, and then a bunch of thirsty, crazy, off the rails emojis. So that's how I felt about Quicksilver. It's absolutely fantastic. I have nothing else to say. I don't know if I have to go through this book because it's a very popular book talk book, but it is basically about Ceres and Kingfisher. Ceres lives in this very poor district. I'm gonna do my best to summarize this. It's not gonna be the greatest summary, so if you want to learn more, look it up on Goodreads or TikTok or Fable or literally anywhere, because it's everywhere. Unfortunately, this is not in one of my reading vlogs. I just read this on my own because it was part of my book club, but it's so good. Ceres is from this really poor district. It's basically a district where they get like 6 ounces of water a day. Very poor upbringing. She doesn't have much family left, and she's basically a thief to kind of stay alive. Then one day she's captured and she's standing in front of the queen, and this like pool of like Quicksilver, it's called, starts glowing, and a man comes in and pulls her through into this fae world, and a bunch of crazy shit happens, and she figures out that she has special powers, and she helps them, and she falls in love. And I'm trying to be really broad because I don't want to just spoil the entire book, but it's absolutely phenomenal. It is a fae romance. Kingfisher is fae, and a bunch of shit happens, and it's really cool. So if you want a really cool fantasy book, I loved it. My book club did not love it, but don't listen to them. They don't know what they're talking about. Next, I started the Assistant to the Villain series. So we have the first book, Assistant to the Villain. This is absolutely cutesy cozy fantasy. It is the cutest shit you've ever read. It is if a sitcom was set in a fantasy world. It's giggle humor. It's so funny. The audiobook was so fun to listen to because the main character, Evie, she kind of talks to herself. Like, she'll be thinking about something in the middle of a thought, and then she goes like, don't have a crush on your boss, Evie. Like, it's so cute. The writing's adorable. The characters are all adorable. The main characters are obviously in love, but they literally don't even touch. Like, it's so slow burn. I don't even think they kiss until the second book. So this one's just all tension, all cozy fantasy, mysteries. It's really cute. Let me see what else I said. I said cozy, goofy, and flirty, funny sitcom humor that you can't help but laugh at. Both characters obviously like each other, but I loved how the author made this adult romance feel young in a good way. That giggly, sheepish crush that you have on someone you're not supposed to be with. Also, the narrator of the audiobook did such a great job capturing Evie's personality. Her little comments to herself are hilarious. At the end of the day, it's not a soul-crushing, plot-twisting high fantasy. It's a super fun rom-com about a villain and his crush on his goofy assistant, which is like the perfect synopsis for this. It's not high fantasy that's gonna blow your socks off. It's a cozy fantasy that's gonna make you giggle and think everything and everyone is adorable. So that is the first book. Then I went immediately into the second book, which is Apprentice to the Villain. In this book, the romance picks up a tiny bit. I think they kiss and maybe talk to each other a little more, but nothing crazy. I can't really remember what happens in this one. I just said another fun and flirty vibe, not groundbreaking or suspenseful, but an overall good time. Fun, cozy fantasy vibes with main characters that are obviously in love with each other, plus a bunch of lovable side characters that start to feel like family. And that's true, they do start to all feel like family. And Kingsley is this little frog that communicates in one-word signs. So on the front it says like uh-oh, if you can see. If my camera will focus on it, it says uh-oh, and he'll just like hold up these signs like run, uh-oh, person, like danger, because he can't talk. He's adorable. He's really cute, and I love him so much. He's one of my favorite side characters that I've ever met. Those are both 4 stars, by the way. 4 star, 4 star. I really like them a lot. And I think the 4th book just got announced that it's coming out soon, or I think the cover just got released. Then in between finishing that series, I read a thriller called The Serial Killer Support Group. This one I thought was very interesting. So this girl's sister, I don't remember if she goes missing or if she's killed. I think she's killed. Yes, after her sister is murdered, a woman infiltrates a support group for serial killers in this biting queer feminist debut thriller. Her sister's been murdered, but she doesn't know like who killed her. The killer hasn't been caught yet, but she thinks it's a serial killer. So she infiltrates the serial killer support group that she found through, like, I don't even remember how she finds out about that. I think she has a friend that's a cop, and he's been like talking about how the cops can't find this because every time they try to infiltrate it, the group knows that they're cops, so they always like get away with it. So she has to infiltrate this group and prove that she's a serial killer to the group so that they'll invite her in, and then she attends this group with all these serial killers to try to find out who killed her sister. And it's very interesting. I think I rated this 4-star. Let's see what I said because this was a while ago. I also read this in a day. It was super bingeable. I was dog sitting and I just listened to the audiobook all day. It says, very unique take on a suspense thriller mystery. I really enjoyed it. Binged it in one day. It was the right amount of creepy / eerie without being overly weird or gross. Not overly gory for anyone with sensitive stomachs. Solid thriller about a girl trying to find justice for her sister. That's something I will say. I did appreciate that this is about serial killers, but they didn't really talk about really grotesque or crazy stuff. So if you're worried about like gore or a lot of nasty details, it's not really in this. I think maybe they talked about something like once or twice and it was kind of very broad. If you're interested but you have a sensitive stomach, I think you'll be fine. It doesn't really have that many things that could be triggering besides the fact that they're talking about killing people. But if you've watched any type of true crime, that shouldn't bother you. Which is a weird sentence to say. Anyway, let's go to our next book of October. I read the 3rd book and the final book that's been released. I think there's a 4th and final book in the series coming out next year, but this is the last one that's been officially released. This was released this year and it is called Accomplice to the Villain. This one I did not love as much as the other ones. This was a 3-star. I just felt like the plot was really going nowhere. This is my review because I didn't really know what was happening. What are we doing here? This is the 3rd book in a series and they just now decided to hold hands in front of people and sleep together. I'm exhausted. This series definitely focuses on plot over romance, which is fine if the plot is constantly moving. The first 2 books were great. The plot made sense and was interesting. This one, not as much. It was fine, but not that intriguing. Still a decent book because I like the characters so much and they start to feel like family, but please add more interesting plot lines that don't feel awkward or out of place. I still gave it a 3 because the setting, the characters are so lovable and you just fall in love with them as the books go. But the plot here was really giving nothing. It was giving stale bread, white paper, waste of time. It's really harsh to say, but I just didn't love it. I hope that other people felt the same way and she kind of incorporates that feedback into the last book because I would really love to finish the series. This just wasn't her best book. The other ones are so good. Like, look at this map. I forgot to show you the maps. It's so fun because they have doodles all over them. Everything about this book is quirky and fun, but I just didn't love it. Didn't love it. If you loved it, let me know. I just didn't love it. 3 stars. The next book of October. Again, October was a good reading month. I finally finished Onyx Storm because I started this book when I got it in January, but I had read the entire series with the graphic audio and I didn't realize that graphic audios don't come out until months after because they don't get access to the book until it comes out with the rest of the public. So I then decided to wait for the graphic audios, but then once the graphic audios came out, I was moved on to other things. So I finally decided to finish this book. And it's a 5-star. Of course it is. Of course it is. It's 4th Wing. It's the Empyrean series. It's dragons. It's Xaden and Violet. And it's so, so good. Oh my god. This book had me on the edge of my seat. It had me stressed. I included this in a reading vlog so you can see all of my thoughts. I believe this is mood reading my physical TBR is what I included this book in. But this stressed me out like no other because I just want Xaden and Violet to be happy and have their happily ever after and just be like perfect and everything, and I want everyone to get along and nothing bad to happen, but this is the Empyrean series and I should know that bad things happen all the time. So the way this ends, oh my god, I screamed. I screamed and I yelled and I was so upset. And then hearing that Rebecca Yarros said that Xaden will have his villain era in book 4, I wanted to scream and yell. I'm not good. Guys, I'm not good. I'm not good. Let me read the review. Let's see. I said Rebecca Yarros strikes again. person. She honestly can do no wrong with this series. This series is everything to me. Violet and Xaden are my faves, and their current situation is really stressing me out. Everything better work out fine, and they better love each other forever and ever. Can you tell I was stressed? Just a little bit? Can you tell I'm worried just a little bit for what's about to happen? I believe she said this is gonna be a 5-book series, so that 5th book better be a happily ever after, or I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm gonna lose my mind. Since this is a 3rd book in a series, I'm not gonna go too in depth. I just realized I haven't really been going in depth, but this was also a 3rd book in a series, so when it comes to series, I don't really give that much information because usually it's going off of a plot line that would spoil other books. So just know that it's fantastic, that it's heartbreaking, and that I need book 4 right now. And I need book 5 right now because I don't want a villain arc. I want them to be happily together forever and have babies and have like a wonderful life forever and ever. So anyway, the next book is called Vanishing Half. This book is very conflicting. Onyx Storm, this book, and the next book were all in a vlog that I posted, reading my physical TBR, I believe. And this book was very conflicting. I had a lot of thoughts in that vlog. Let me read you my review. It says, honestly conflicted about this book. It's incredibly important to highlight the impacts of racism, but I felt that this book could have been nonfiction. There didn't seem to be a fiction plot line. The twins being separated and living as different races was very intriguing. The difference between their lives toward the end of the book really showed how marriage and race can impact the circumstances of your future. I think this is an important book to read, but it definitely gives more nonfiction overall with some fictional moments. Also, there's just a lot happening in the story, so many characters and information to keep up with. Yeah, this book, it really reads like nonfiction. It's about these 2 twins. They grow up inseparable. They're very, very close, but then they decide to kind of break apart and do their own thing. One twin lives their life as a black woman. The other twin lives her life as a white woman, which is also very confusing because if they're twins and one is obviously a black woman and one can pass as a white woman, that's confusing to me. But regardless, this would be a very interesting book to make into a movie because I just need to see how this is possible. I know some people can be white passing, but it's just hard to imagine when in the storyline, the one twin that lives as a black woman, you really hear about racism and segregation and what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word. There's a word I'm looking for. But you really experience her life in that way, but then the other twin living as a white woman, like no one ever expects that she'd be anything but white. So it's really confusing to know how that's possible when they're identical twins. As I said, it's very interesting to read about. I think it's very important. I just don't know how I feel about the fictional plot line. We're introduced to so many characters that it's a little overwhelming because the timeline is really fast. You get to know all of these different characters and you don't really get a moment to be with them. My voice just cracked. You don't really get like a solid moment to be with them until it's like on to the next. But it was a 4-star overall. I do really like it. I do really think it's an important book. I think everyone should read it just to kind of see how they feel. I don't really know how I feel, but I'm gonna say 4-star. My camera is about to die. The last book of October is Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. I called her Hawkins before. This is a thriller. I gave it a 3.5 and I said in my review, just okay. There's nothing that was explicitly lacking or problematic, but it didn't give me that shocked thriller feeling. Lots of characters and plot lines, but at times it was hard to follow along and remember who was who. I liked the plot, but it could have been turned up a few notches and made more dramatic. Overall, a decent book, but not something I'd tell all my friends about. And that's kind of how I feel. Like it's a good thriller, but I wouldn't say it's like knock my socks off. I have to tell everyone about this thriller because it's so good. I can't really remember what it's about. I believe there's like this river that 2 women drown in. One's a teenage girl, one's an adult woman, and people are trying to figure out like why people are doing this and if it's homicide or suicide. It's kind of interesting to see all the drama in the town, but we're also introduced to so many different point of views that it gets a little confusing. I wish they would have just stuck to like 2, 3 at most, but you get a lot of different point of views and you have to remember like who's talking. So I don't really know. I think it also depends on how you read it because I listened to the audiobook, so it's a little harder to remember who's talking and what point of view they are when you can't see the title pages every time. So that's this book. I'm gonna go charge my camera battery because it's blinking at me, and then we're gonna finish up with November. 3.5 stars though. I just ate some lunch and now we're back to talk about my November books. I wish it was just a little brighter out because my lighting isn't perfect, but hopefully it's light enough. I just had a bunch of mini corn dogs and now I am so full. You didn't ask, but I'm sorry. Okay, now our November books. We had lots of good books. As you can tell, big stack, lots of good reading. In November, I started my werewolf reading vlog. So we had The Fake Mate by Lana Ferguson. I absolutely love Lana Ferguson's writing. It reminds me a lot of Ali Hazelwood, who is my favorite author. This book was a 5-star. It is if Grey's Anatomy had werewolves, and it touches a little bit on the Omegaverse. I've never read a full Omegaverse book, so I can't really say how similar it is, but our female main character is an Omega and then the male main character is an Alpha, and then apparently Alphas and Omegas have like a very distinct connection that is super rare and super powerful, so it touches a little bit on that. They don't really talk about betas at all. It's really cute, it's really fun, it's really quirky. They both are doctors and they work in the same hospital. The female main character is Mackenzie, she works in the ER, and Noah, the male main character, is a heart doctor, cardiologist. I don't know if he's a surgeon or not. I think he's just a cardiologist, but he's like the best cardiologist in the area. He's a very grumpy guy. It's like the grumpy sunshine vibe. So this book is so good. 5 stars. I really, really loved it. Continuing with my werewolf romance books, I read Mate by Ali Hazelwood. This one is 6 stars. Absolutely loved it. Like, this is off the scale. I love Ali Hazelwood so much, and her book Bride was one of my favorites of that year that I read it. I don't remember how long ago that was. I don't think it was last year. It might have been the year before, unless it was last year. I don't really remember. So good. I also love this Barnes & Noble edition. They came out with different editions. The Target edition was blue, Barnes & Noble edition was purple, and then the regular edition was green. So I like that you have the option of getting whatever color you want. So good. So the female main character is a were-human hybrid, and then the male main character is the alpha of his pack, and his pack says that the alpha has to remain celibate so that he doesn't like prioritize one singular person over his pack. But he also meets his mate, which is very complicated for him because he can't be in a relationship because he has to prioritize his pack over anyone else. But then with werewolves, they have this like instinctual bond that they can't really just ignore. So a lot of things happen. They are trying not to be together, but then are obviously drawn towards each other. He feels this innate need to protect her, so that gets in the way sometimes. And then it's also fun that the couple from the first book is also intertwined in here. So it's such a good book. It's a 6-star. I really hope she continues this like interconnected series because they are so good. I will buy them every time and eat them up every time. Next we have Wayward by Amelia Hart. This is like a witchy type of book. It takes place in 3 different timelines. One is 1619, one is 1942, and one is 2019. Maybe I'm mixing that up with Bigger Bones in the Midnight Soil. They're both very similar, where one timeline's a very long time ago, one's like a long time ago but semi like more recent, and then one is current day. So I might have mixed up the timelines a little bit, but this is about 3 different women, the Wayward like bloodline. It says they call us witches, we call ourselves wayward. It's very interesting. I gave it overall a 3.5 because I did like it, but it wasn't like a favorite of the month. I'm starting to learn that I don't think I love too many different timelines. Like I think max 2 different timelines. If not, I prefer just one timeline. It's hard, in my opinion, for someone to do it really well. I liked learning about all of them, but then at sometimes I'm like, I don't care, get to the point of what this book is about. But it was fun to learn about them, and I did like how everything tied together in the end. It had a purpose. Did I think that that purpose was like amazing? No, but I thought, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool how it tied all together. So overall, I did enjoy it, but I'm also just kind of coming to the conclusion that witches aren't my favorite thing to read about. I like witches, but I don't think I love witches, so I don't know. It's a 3.5. It's not bad. I enjoyed it. I would recommend it, but it's not my favorite of the month. Then to the book that I think destroyed me in a good way is The Housemaid. Me and my boyfriend decided to buddy read this because we really want to watch the movie when it comes out next month, or this month actually. It comes out in like a week or 2. This was so good. So I love the actress Amanda Seyfried, and I saw that she was in this movie and I was like, oh, that's a really popular book. I should read that because that movie looks interesting. I read this and oh my god, I was screaming. Oh my goodness. I was literally yelling at my boyfriend to like read it faster because I needed somebody to talk to about it. This is a 5-star. It's honestly crazy. And let me read the review because I honestly don't even know what to say at this point. I said, crazy from the start. I see why this book gets so much attention. It grabs you from the start, then flips you on your ass. So good. First truly unpredictable thriller I've read in a while. So excited to see the movie coming out next month. It makes you question people and how much you truly know them. Seriously, this is such a good thriller. Like, if someone was coming to me getting into reading needs like a good thriller, I would recommend The Silent Patient and this book, The Housemaid, because for the first half of the book you go on this one storyline, and then in the second half it's a different storyline, and you're like, oh fuck, what is happening? Like, what is right, what is wrong, what is true, what's false? Is the narrator like telling me the truth? Who can I trust? So good. So good, and I'm so excited for the movie. Now the other book that ruined it all for me, it is Defiant by Alexandra Swanson. I touched on this in my werewolf reading vlog. Very mixed feelings about this book because it is indie published. Like, this author doesn't have the resources that a lot of these other authors have because they are with major publishing houses and they have access to all of these editors and resources. Indie authors don't have as many resources, and I liked this book, but I just felt like it needed more rounds of editing to really make it like a good book. I gave this one a 2.5 star. I thought the idea, I thought the characters, the setting were like perfect. I loved the idea of this book. It starts with a witch, but then she ends up killing an alpha werewolf, which in this world means that you then become the alpha and she turns into a werewolf. All this is on the back. None of that is spoilers. It happens within the first 5%. And then this whole book is her figuring out, I have this coven that I love and care for, they're my family, but then I'm also now in charge of this alpha, like this werewolf pack, because I'm the alpha. So I'm figuring out all those complexities that happen, and then other types of people that kind of get in the way in the future. But it was just a lot of telling and not showing. Something crazy would happen and then it would have like one sentence about like how the main character felt. I felt like this book could have been so much longer if you just provided so much more detail. Like, you could make one sentence into a page about what the character's seeing, what they're feeling, what they're touching, what they're sensing, what their thought process is, instead of this happened next, you know? Like, it just didn't give very good imagery, it didn't give very good insight into the character. It was mostly like if someone was writing a report about something happening that didn't include very many details. Again, I would love this book if it just had some more rounds of editing. If it was at all possible, I would love for the author to take this book, like send it to a really good editor, work on it, make it like twice as long with a bunch of detail, and I would totally read it again because the premise is really good. I just think it needs a little more help, if that makes sense. We are almost done. 2 more books, and then I gotta go to work. The next book I read is 5 Broken Blades. This one was interesting. I am not gonna lie, I bought it because of the sprayed edges, because this book I think is a trilogy and each book has these really cool sprayed edges. So I was like, oh my god, that'd be really cool to display on my bookshelf. So I'm gonna buy it and see if I like the first book. Also, super cool like cover and end pages. Super cool all around. This is about 5 assassins. 5 people are hired to kill the king and take his crown, and it's all these assassins trying to work together, but they like don't trust each other, don't have anything like really in common, but they're all trying to get to this one goal, and then in the end something crazy happens. It says, the king of Yusan must die. The 5 most dangerous liars in the land have been mysteriously summoned to work together for one single objective: to kill the god king Jun. They can agree on murder, they can agree on treachery, but for these 5 killers, each versed in deception, lies, and betrayal, it's not enough to forge an alliance. To survive, they'll have to find a way to trust each other, but only one can take the crown. Let the best liar win. It's really interesting. I actually really enjoyed it. I gave it a 3.5 overall. I will be reading the next book, which is like four Ruined Realms or something like that. I am very interested to see what happens based on the ending of this book. Let me see what my review was because I don't really remember much else about how I felt about it. I said, very interesting plot line, 5 cutthroat assassins working together toward a common goal. Beginning was very slow and almost made me DNF. Glad I stuck with it because I really like how the plot turned out. I don't really care about the characters that much though. They're interesting, but I didn't feel like we got enough of their backgrounds / personality to become diehard fave characters. Overall, fun concept and good writing. Will most likely read the second in the series. Now that I remember that, I will agree that the plot line was super interesting. I really loved the plot line, but as a reader, we didn't really get to learn that much about the characters to really like become obsessed with them, you know? You know when you read a book and you like really understand where the characters are coming from and you feel for them and you have this attachment to these characters? I feel like we only got watered down versions of who they are. It was mostly focused on the plot, which I definitely love. I think I would rather have like a really good plot line instead of just like characters that are doing nothing all the time. Hopefully in the next book we get more about them because I would love to just learn about them, really really grow to care for them, because I feel like that's what makes like a 5-star book, is a really good plot line and characters that you fall in love with and really care about. So this has the amazing plot line. I want to learn more about the characters so that I can fall in love with them and absolutely like need to know what happens next, you know? Now our final book of November, I decided to go in for another Frida McFadden book, Never Lie. This one I've heard such good things about. If you ask somebody about Frida McFadden, they will probably recommend this book to you. I have heard people talk about it non-stop, so I wanted to see what all the hype was about. And it is pretty solid. I ended up on a 4-star, mostly because I am in the mental health field, and this book follows I can't remember if it was a psychologist or psychiatrist. I don't know if it's on the back either. I believe it's a psychiatrist, because I think she's prescribing medication at some point in the book. I believe psychiatrist. So she's a psychiatrist, I'm a therapist, so in the book she's doing therapy, and there are certain things where I'm like, I would never do that, you know? You know when a character makes a decision and you're like, why in the world would you do that? You're making life so much harder for you. So it was hard for me not to judge, because never in my right mind would I do that. 1, as a person, 2, as a professional in the field. It just made no sense. Like, I feel like at that point you just fall on your sword and accept your consequences and not make it worse for yourself. So so I was a little judgy, but overall it was a really good book. I think if you're nowhere near the field, this would probably be a 5-star for you, because it is very interesting. The twist I genuinely did not see coming. I don't know what it was, like if I was just kind of along for the ride and my gears weren't really turning, because for thrillers I don't love to like pick apart everything and try to solve it before it happens, because I feel like that's not as fun. Like if you can predict the ending and then the ending happens, it's just not as fun for me, so I don't try to play that game. I want to just enjoy the book as it happens, but I did not see that one coming. I guess I can see how people can see it coming, but I really liked it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was like a little creepy, a little like chaotic, but it was a really good book. A really short one too. I think it's under 300 pages. It's a really quick read. Oh, I'm also seeing that there's also a reading group guide, which I love. I love when authors include like a book club question in the back. I loved it. I recommend it to anybody who wants a really good thriller. So let me see if I can hold all these. They're all gonna fall. That is every book I read this fall. Please let me know if you have any books that I need to read or what you thought about any of these books. I love hearing your feedback if you've read the same book as me, because I just like having discussions about books. It's really fun. I don't have that many people in my life that love books, so please comment. Let's have a discussion about our favorite books, or if you hated one of these books, I would love to hear your perspective as well. Please consider subscribing and sticking around for any book content. I love posting reading vlogs. I love posting anything book related, so if you like that content as well, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!